Good evening, everyone. The time is 6:02 p.m., and I hereby call this meeting of the Student Government Senate to order. So we'll begin with a roll call. When I read your name, please say here or present. Martinez. Here. Gopa. Here. Azan. Present. Rolls. Here. Chenoweth. Here. Campstra. Here. Kloppenstein. Here. Kuehler. Here. Atikos. Here. Janes. Present. Mahoney. No Mahoney. Trotter. Here. Moisango. Here. Jones. Here. Cecil. No Cecil. Eisma. Here. Wellman. Here. Momini. Here. Larson. And Schneider. Here. With that, we do have quorum for the evening. So with that, we'll move into the Pledge of Allegiance led by Acting Speaker Campstra. It's been moved to add Senator Mahoney to the roll, and if you'd like to also add Senator Cecil. Been moved to add Senator Cecil and Mahoney to the roll. Is there any objection to doing so? Seeing none, they shall be sat. So with that, we'll move into this evening's programs, plural, starting with the Green Dot program. And so I would just remind all senators, if you could close or mostly close your laptop as a sign of respect, that would be fantastic at this time.
And I would like to yield time to Director of Health and Wellness, Spahn, to introduce our speaker for tonight.
Hello, everyone.
Just give him a sec.
Hello.
Try one more time.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. So we're going to deal with that later. So today I am going to introduce you to Sam Shelton. They are our Green Dot coordinator on campus. Last month, October, was Green Dot Action Month, so they're just going to share with us some of the great initiatives that we did during the month of October and also just the great work they do all year round. So here's Sam.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all for having me. It's great to see everyone tonight. Like was said, my name is Sam. I am the ISU Green Dot coordinator, so I oversee the Green Dot program at Iowa State. That includes the trainings that we offer. We have a Green Dot campus team of about 20 faculty and staff from across campus who are involved in Green Dot, and then overseeing the student workers as well. So last month was Green Dot Action Month, and Green Dot Action Month is a time when we seek to mobilize people within our community to really advance the Green Dot mission and values. How many of you are familiar with kind of what Green Dot does and what we stand for? Okay, awesome. Good. For those of you who don't know, Green Dot is a bystander intervention program, which basically means we seek to teach skills and encourage people to intervene when they witness violence or harm happening in our community. And we focus specifically on issues of power-based personal violence, which includes things like sexual assault, dating violence, and stalking. And so through our trainings and through our engagement with different students, faculty, and staff, we strive to teach strategies for knowing what to do when you witness violence happening, but also strategies for how to prevent violence from happening in the first place. Green Dot, I like to emphasize, is one of the ways that everyone on campus can be involved in violence prevention. I think there are a lot of times when you think about ISU PD or the Office of Equal Opportunity or specific offices on campus as being people who handle violence prevention. And a lot of times they are, because they have specialized training in how to respond to certain situations or how to support people while they're navigating different processes. But the power of Green Dot is that it's really focused on community mobilization. It's really focused on thinking about what can every single student, faculty, and staff do to support the work that's going on at Iowa State and to build a community where everyone feels welcome, feels like they can have a sense of belonging, and where they don't have to worry about experiencing violence during their time at Iowa State. And Green Dot does this by giving us a shared language to talk about power-based personal violence. The Green Dot metaphor is essentially that if you imagine our campus map, the different kind of dining centers, classrooms, places you might meet, even this room, think about those as kind of the scene of our metaphor, and these are places where violence or harm can happen. And individual acts of violence or harm are known as red dots. And so those can be things like the moment it takes to hit someone, a choice to engage in sexual activity without consent. It can be making, homophobic or sexist comments. Really, a red dot is any kind of violence or harm that happens in our community, and that's the problem. When those red dots go unchallenged, they create a culture where violence is normalized, where people aren't connected with resources, and where people who cause harm feel empowered to cause further harm to people. The solution for this metaphor is green dots, and that's where everyone comes in. A green dot is anything you can do to reduce the harm a red dot causes or to prevent a red dot from happening in the first place. And this doesn't have to be like monumental newsworthy stories, right? This can be everyday actions or behaviors that you integrate into your relationships with other people. So a green dot can be as simple as checking in on a classmate if you see that they're looking uncomfortable. It can be calling someone if they're walking home from class late at night and you just want to make sure they get back to their dorm or their house safely. It can be just having conversations about your beliefs about violence and why it's important to be an active bystander contributing to a better community. So these are really simple actions that everyone can participate in. I don't have time today to get into the specific strategies we offer, but the training really focuses on different ways that you can be active bystanders and different ways that you can support yourselves and the people around you. So again, it's really about that mobilization piece of this conversation. So whereas other things will focus on, just refer them somewhere else or just make sure they get connected with this resource, Green Dot really thinks about how can we go beyond that and how can we actually be a part of the solution. So getting back to Green Dot Action Month, this was a time when we really sought to engage a large portion of our community in being active bystanders and in visibly demonstrating their commitment to violence prevention. And so we saw a lot of different people engaging with Green Dot throughout the month. I think we trained 1,500 people during the month in the Green Dot framework, which was a really impressive accomplishment for my team. And I think that was across 40 trainings throughout this month alone. In addition to that, we saw departments and student and faculty and staff groups across campus engaging in their own kind of Green Dot events. We had departments posting all kinds of Green Dot materials in their spaces. Some hosted conversations with their own specific communities about violence prevention. We're thinking just about how they can be more involved in being active bystanders and in showing other people on campus their commitment to violence prevention. And so I know Green Dot Action Month is over now, but that's really just the starting point. The goal of Green Dot Action Month isn't to say, okay, we've had this month of doing green dots, now we can stop for the rest of the year. Rather, Green Dot Action Month is meant to be one of many starting points. It's a place where we can learn more about Green Dot, where people can get engaged with Green Dot, and then help to build that engagement throughout the year. So even though October is over, I encourage you to really think about what Green Dot can be involved, where Green Dot can be involved in your own lives, how you can support the mission of violence prevention at Iowa State, and what you all can do to help build a better campus for everyone here. At the end of the day, Green Dot is really about building relationships, building community, and advancing a holistic vision of wellness at Iowa State. So it's not just a goal of ending violence, though that is obviously very important and central to what we do, but rather Green Dot is about creating a campus that everyone can belong to and that everyone can be a part of. So that's kind of a quick summary of Green Dot. Some specific events we did throughout the month. We hosted a Green Dot Trot last week, which was a 4K walk around campus. And we also hosted a Green Dot Gathering event where we just came together to celebrate all of the great work that's happened throughout this past year. So we gave awards out to a couple individuals and groups who have done really excelling work within Green Dot. One group we recognized was the Department of Residence, who has consistently gone above and beyond in showing up for the Green Dot program and really infusing that into their spaces. That's an event we'll probably host again next year, and I encourage you all to come. I know it's a year out, so it's a little early to mark your calendars, but it will be on October 31st next year. Yeah, and so that's kind of what we did. throughout the rest of the year, we really focus on sustaining people's engagement with Green Dot. So a lot of my specific work is focused on network building and capacity building. The idea of capacity building is really central to Green Dot as well. And it's the idea that if I'm just doing Green Dot on my own, I only have so much capacity, right? I couldn't have trained 1,500 people in 1 month on my own. That came because we had engaged with lots of different people across campus, and because our team shares the responsibility for addressing all of those trainings and for building up our community. So I focus a lot on building up our capacity so that we can reach more and more people across campus and really invite everyone to participate in the message of Green Dot and participate in building a green campus. Other things that I do include really expanding our trainings as well. So right now we've got primarily Green Dot as our focus for the trainings we offer around violence prevention. In the coming year, we'll probably be expanding out to include other trainings as well that focus on different ways of approaching power-based personal violence. So definitely watch out for those. And I'll be in communication with you all as those trainings get developed. But that can be a great leadership opportunity for folks as well. We also host some smaller events throughout the year. For the remainder of the year, we've got our Green Dot Games events. So we have one next week on October 7th from 6 to 8:30. And that will be a game of 9 square, basically, but we'll have Green Dot theme. It will be led by our Green Dot student workers. And it will just be a great time to show up and hang out with people who are involved in violence prevention and learn from them about some of their experiences while having fun playing a game as well. And we'll probably have some kind of celebration towards the end of the term as well, just for Green Dot with free food and free activities. That's still being planned, so I don't have details about that yet, but I'll share those out with you as I get those developed. So that's kind of a summary of what I do. I definitely have some free swag here that I'm happy to share with anyone, and I'll pass that around. But if anyone has questions for me, I'm happy to answer those. Or if there's something you want me to elaborate on more, I'm happy to do that as well.
So with that, the floor is open for questions, starting with Senator James.
Yeah, I guess my first question is, why is October the month that is Green Dot activity? Oh my God, I blinked.
So October is Green Dot Action Month for a couple different reasons. The biggest one being that it's also Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Domestic violence is a very common occurrence within, at Iowa State and within the Ames community more broadly. And so we do offer some kind of education and activities specifically around domestic violence throughout the month, but we reframed it as Green Dot Action Month because we wanted to move from just awareness into actually mobilizing people into action. So we didn't just want to offer more information about this is what domestic violence is, but we wanted to offer information about we know that violence is present in our community, so how can we actually work to remove that violence from our community? So kind of the biggest focus is around moving from just awareness and education into actually mobilizing people to action.
I guess my next question is, so you talked about kind of the departments that you've succeeded in, the residency department, due to us being from various departments at Iowa State. Can you talk, I don't want to say like, call out a department, but a department that's been less communicative with you to see if we can use our personal connections to help?
Yeah. So I don't want to name a specific department for reasons, but I'd say we've had the most trouble, I think, with academic side departments. So specifically engaging with different academic programs to get faculty in particular through the training. We have a lot of really wonderful faculty who show up for us year in and year out. I think the College of Human Science in particular has a lot of faculty who regularly connect with the Green Dot program. Ivy College of Business also has several faculty who do as well. But I think really, if you can help us get connected with academic side people, your professors, faculty that you know, that would be the most helpful.
Got it. And I guess my last question is, so like you talked about like the month was a big boom for 1,500 trained. On average, from a yearly perspective, how many people do you typically get trained through Green Dot trainings?
Yeah. So this year has been a significant increase in trainings for us. Last year we had 65 trainings total for fall and spring term. This fall term alone, we've already had 67 trainings, so we're well above what we did last year. That has a lot to do with last year there was only one person involved in Green Dot in the kind of staff position, and this year we have two, so we're able to focus a lot more on building up networks. But definitely this year has been a significant increase from previous years, and I was really happy with that 1,500 number that we achieved.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I
thank you.
yield.
Senator Azan.
First of all, thank you for your time coming to here. So my first question will be, again, you mentioned how important is it. Have you considered about introducing a course on Canvas? Like, because it's important, so maybe like making it mandatory, like a course on Canvas might help to increase awareness, about this topic. So did you get a chance to actually think about along the lines?
Yeah, I think that's a really great idea, and it's something I have thought of. I started my position about a year ago, and like I said, when I joined the team, it was moving from one coordinator who basically only had time to really focus on just getting the training scheduled. And now with me, we have time to actually focus on some of those other kinds of projects. So I've been developing out a lot of things. Canvas course is on my list of things we're developing. We're also working on developing a Green Dot learning community as well, which will combine a couple different classes together and offer students a chance to have an extended engagement with Green Dot for academic credit. And hopefully that will be offered in fall of 2024, so a year from now. But we're definitely exploring a lot of different options for how we can spread awareness and how we can give people the most opportunities to engage with Green Dot. I think a Canvas course is a great idea, though.
Yeah, thank you.
Senator Trotter.
Once again, thank you for coming. And secondly, if I'm not mistaken, we already have a Canvas course on alcohol abuse and sexual assault and consent and all that stuff. So an expansion of that course, I think, would be potentially easier. Am I mistaken on that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we do have mandatory courses around alcohol education and also one from the Office of Equal Opportunity around sexual violence. So certainly looking into an expansion of those courses would be an opportunity to integrate Green Dot. I will say one of the reasons that we haven't done that so far is that we take a really different approach to power-based personal violence than the Office of Equal Opportunity. Again, this isn't bashing on them in any way. They do a lot of really important work, but they're really kind of focused on kind of a compliance model, focused on once people have experienced violence, how can they be supported through whatever kind of process they want to go through, whether that's pressing charges or seeking academic support of various kinds. So really important work. We're more so focused on actually getting people to be active bystanders. So focus on violence prevention, preventing violence from happening in the first place. So we could certainly work on expanding their course to include more information about Green Dot. It's just a matter of kind of balancing those two complementary goals while not overriding one or the other.
Thank you very much. I yield.
Thank you.
Back to Senator Azan.
Yeah, just a quick question. So if someone actually report any incident, I'm concerned about the anonymity and especially the retaliation. For example, if I'm part of frag, and there are strict rules within like different frag, right? So any efforts along the line in terms of avoiding retaliation within the group, or if someone actually retaliate based on your incident report, how you're gonna support the system?
Yeah, so I think that's a really important question, and retaliation is a significant reason why a lot of people don't actively engage in violence prevention, or if they have witnessed violence in their groups, their communities, or wherever, that's a significant barrier to them saying or doing anything at all in those situations. I will say that we do have a lot of anti-retaliation policies in place. Those are effective for a lot of different people. Sometimes they're not as effective, and we do need to keep working on those. I think that's more so a question for the Office of Equal Opportunity, who deals in specifically responding to acts of violence. And so the Office of Equal Opportunity provides a lot of resources around, confidential resources around kind of how to report violence without causing harm to come onto you as a result of that. Green Dot, we haven't had as many instances where we have to deal with that because We are not a confidential program right now, so everyone involved in Green Dot is a responsible employee to a certain extent, meaning that when we become aware of acts of violence, we are required to report those acts to the Office of Equal Opportunity, who then will provide that person with resources and support. Just because we report them to the Office of Equal Opportunity doesn't mean that they have to go through a formal charging of someone or go through a formal process like that. But it just means that they will be contacted and given those resources. Retaliation, though, is something that we talk about a bit in our training. And so one of the things that I spend a lot of time doing is just talking with people about, if you have concerns about retaliation, how can you approach a situation in a way that's going to keep you safe while also ensuring that you're doing your part to help address the violence in your community? And so we often develop some creative strategies for how can you say or do something in this situation that's going to help to move your community forward and help to make it more accessible and inclusive for different groups or for different people in that situation, while also maintaining, if it's, for example, if you're in a chapter, maintaining your relationship to the other people in your chapter, or if it's in a friend group, how can you make sure that you're not losing out on friends as a result of that? Sometimes that does happen, which is unfortunate, but we do spend a lot of time kind of talking about what retaliation looks like and how we can put protections in place to make sure that people are taking care of themselves and hopefully not experiencing those negative outcomes.
So with that, are there any further questions for the Green Dot program? Seeing none, thank you for the great presentation and thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you all.
And so with that, we'll hear our second Senate program for the evening, a recap of the Big 12 Student Government Conference with President Holliday.
Everyone, as we have been noting over the past couple of weeks, tonight you all finally get to hear a little bit more about the Big 12 conference that we recently attended down on the TCU campus. So, thank you. So, what did we do while we were down there? I will just give you a quick overview of what we did in the 2 days of the conference. Starting us out Friday morning, we heard short remarks from the Vice Chancellor of TCU. She had a lot of great thoughts about student government and just wished us well for our future endeavors. Then we had a great motivational presentation by the Dean of the Honors College at TCU. He provided a lot of really great in-depth into why we truly are doing what we're doing. Why are we serving in the positions that we are in, and how can we make the best of them during the time that we have? So it was some really great in-depth thoughts, and I actually took a little bit of his presentation for the retreat this weekend. So if you heard my motivational presentation at the retreat this past weekend, I hope that it inspired you a little bit. And then we toured the TCU campus. We took an hour and they split us up into groups and got to see what all it looked like. And I'm gonna be honest, they have a gorgeous campus, but also we have a gorgeous campus too. Everyone has different levels of funding and different aspects that they're going for. There's a big difference between private universities and public universities, and I think it's really great to recognize that. And it really provided all of us there a really good perspective of what we have and what to be grateful for having it. So it really helped me recognize, and all of us present, what we have here at Iowa State. So that was a great tour. We also had a really great tour guide. He hung out with us the rest of the, the conference. So it was a really great time with, I think his name was Michael. He was super entertaining and provided a lot of good advice because he was a member of student government too. And then we had presentations from every university present. So we gave probably a 5 to 10 minute presentation over some initiatives that we are working on. And we also told everyone about SciTown that's being built, just because that's unique to our university, and thought that it would be interesting to brag that up a little bit. Then going into Saturday, we had group discussions based on the position we are in or other universities equivalent. That was about an hour, hour and a half discussions for those roundtables. And it was just really good to be able to get advice from people in similar positions as you if you are incurring issues or just looking to begin certain projects that they already have, to gather the insights that they have from past experience. Then we had group discussions based on various important topics. There were 9 different topics, and we made sure that we had someone at all of those subjects to be sure that we had a voice and were able to get the input from other schools. And then we had a business session to close out the conference. This was new and unique this year, as the goal of the business session was to attempt to create a organization called the Big 12 Student Government Assembly. We spent multiple hours creating constitution and bylaws, and we ended up tabling it until the conference next year because many of us had concerns about passing it right away, and we wanted to bring it back to you all before we signed our organization up to be a part of something bigger than us. So that's going to be something that we're going to be discussing over the course of the next year, just so you all are aware. But that was something we spent multiple hours working on, and there was a lot of really great thoughts and footwork put forward, but we also still have a lot to do with that area before we reach the Big 12 conference next year. Hey, Brandon. No, you're good. Thank you. And then I just wanted to highlight a few projects that we found really intriguing from the other universities' presentations while we were down there, because the whole point of giving the presentations was to teach one another what our organizational structure looked like, as well as things that we're doing so we can help other people, but also feed off of what they were doing at their universities and bring some back for ourselves too. So a few of the overview points were increasing campus community, bettering student life, and some internal improvements as well. Just a couple ideas from increasing campus community was an on-campus farmers market. Thought that was super unique and fun, and it meant that students didn't have to leave the campus to go experience what that's like. We have one in downtown Ames. I think it's finished for the season, but it's fun to have an idea to potentially bring one onto campus once. There was also the idea of a graduation walk, which I thought was super unique. It was the idea of everyone graduating within that semester, walking to a momentous area and having a meal with their families, and then walking back to another momentous area. And it was really just to signify the importance of what they just did in their life, the multiple years that you just spent to get your degree, and recognizing the accomplishment you just achieved. Student life is increasing town hall opportunities. I think Brandon's already working on trying to get some set up with Chief Newton and the police department, working on safety. So some different ideas included financial aid town halls, housing and safety, and we already hold the multicultural town hall. So it's just expanding on top of that. And then finally, within student life, partnering with college career offices to promote professional development. We have so many professional development opportunities here at Iowa State, but not all students know about them or understand how to best utilize those resources. So just finding unique ways to promote those and get students more involved. And then finally, some internal improvements. For recruitment-wise, we could do some high school outreach, which includes potentially adding a student government highlight to tours when you're touring here at Iowa State. And then another unique idea was a constitutional convention. Some universities rewrote their bylaws or constitutions this past year, and they brought in some legitimate legislatures to kind of help field what they were working on and ensure that they were doing it properly. So those were just a few unique ideas, but like I mentioned, we also had many ideas to provide to the table that students asked us about, so they could get some help in areas that they were struggling with at their universities, including the Iowa State Safe app. We talked about that in our presentation, highlighting specifically social escape and virtual walk home. And those were two features that many universities are still reaching out to us about wanting more information on, because those are great opportunities to help protect your personal safety as well as prevent sexual assault and get you out of uncomfortable situations. We also highlighted the Safe Word program that many people were able to give feedback on, that they had success in their towns, but also ask questions about to see how they could improve compared to what we're working on. So our idea is still fresh, and Jeff is in the works of getting it out there, but we were still able to collaborate really well with other universities present. And then finally, something unique that I discovered just through personal conversation was having an ex officio to the city council. Many universities don't have as great of a relationship with their city council as we do, so it's something that we should really be grateful for. Having someone to specifically represent the students on our city council is incredibly unique, and many people were interested and asked me questions about it once we had the opportunity to discuss it a little further. So that was something amazing. And then something that we were able to get support from other universities on included DEI legislation that we're going through within the State House right now. The states of Texas and Florida have gone through what we're going through, and the state of, I believe it was Ohio, is currently going through the same thing too. So just bouncing ideas off of one another as to how to help each other through these hard times. We are able to support other people with our town halls through what we do with the multicultural events. And then finally, OSU athletics relationship. That was something that was more of a Brandon thing. I don't really have a lot of details on it, but I know we have someone really interested in working on improving our relationship with athletics and making it stronger. So it's going to be really great here to use that knowledge in the upcoming future. And then we just have a few pictures up on the slides. They're a little small if you can see them. I'm not the greatest at figuring out how to use PowerPoint, so I use that, so it has a little weird template on it. But aside from that, it was overall a really great time down in Texas. We met a lot of amazing people and made some great connections. I think I texted 3 of the people today that I met down there for advice or just to help interact on various things. So it truly was a beneficial conference for us to attend, and it also is going to be great because many of us are young enough that we're still going to be here next year, and Iowa State is lucky enough to get to host the Big 12 conference in the upcoming year. So with that, are there any questions?
Floor is open for questions, starting with Senator James.
Well, I guess the first thing I wanted to ask was just, I mean, I know you said it like over the year, we'll talk about further clarification, but can you at least say like the thought process behind why they decided a Big 12 like student assembly might be something that's necessary beyond just the conference that gets hosted?
So I think the goal behind that was, first of all, there's other conferences that have that. And then, so Big 12, we don't currently have one. But then also, second of all, there's nothing set in stone with how we have to interact with one another as SGAs within a conference. So there's never been set rules of, oh, you need to make sure that your new president is included in this group chat so all of the presidents have connection with one another, because there have been some communication issues this year already between the conference because not everyone had access to each other's information to be able to make sure that there was everybody invited to the conferences or everyone included in planning and whatnot, especially for Big 12 on the Hill. So I think that was one of the main motives, but also just so that we as a conference can unofficially, because I should also note that the student government Big 12 is not directly tied with Big 12 athletics. So we're not correlated, so we can't use like the Roman numerals or anything like that. We have to use Big 12, like 1, 2, the numbers. So there's that separation and correlation. So then that was also something else that kind of deterred it from being passed this year, was we want to make sure that we don't incur any legal issues. But overall, just making sure that we can utilize our voices to the best we can. So if we as a conference have something that we're all extremely passionate about within each university that we all agree upon, we can make like a joint resolution and come forward and say, this is what we believe that the conference should be acting upon and whatnot. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, got it. Trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, I think that's everything. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Senator Azan.
I'm just curious about the Texas barbecue. How was that? Go for it.
Oh, perfect. Someone added it in. I forgot to. There we go. Yep, the
There you
Texas
go.
barbecue was amazing.
I was looking for the slide. I was like, wait, what?
Tomorrow's try to bring the
it what juicy or like? Is it juicy or like? Cool.
Oh, all right, with that, are there any further questions? Seeing none, thank you very much, President Holliday. So we're now into open forum. Open forum shall serve as an opportunity for students to speak about issues relevant to the student body. And so if there's anyone here tonight for open forum, I would ask that you approach the podium at this time. Seeing no one here for open forum, we'll move into adopting this evening's agenda. Is there a motion to do so? Is there a second on that motion? It's been moved and seconded. Are there any objections to adopting tonight's agenda? Seeing none, the agenda shall be adopted. And we'll move into the same thing for the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the previous minutes from last Senate meeting? Senator Azan?
I haven't received the minutes of the meeting. So how can I be approved if we haven't received the minutes?
If you give us a moment, we'll make sure that those went out.
Mr. Vice President, motion to postpone the approval of last week's minutes to next week.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to postpone because evidently we did not receive those, so we'll get those sent out. Is there any objection to postponing the approval of those minutes? Seeing no objection, it shall be postponed, and we'll move into committee reports, starting with the Rules Committee, led by Acting Speaker Kamstra.
Hey, so we're still trying to work through the bylaws. We took this week off as well because of some workarounds that we needed to work on with redelegating out the next chapters. But we're hoping that next week we'll have our first presentation of chapters 1 and 2 of the bylaw rewrite for you all to start reading. So we will do the 2-week process with that. We'll give it to you all to read, make any comments or adjustments to the Rules Committee, and then we'll vote on it the following week with debate. And then we also discussed the athletics thing that President Holliday mentioned in her presentation with improving the student's voice with athletics, because it doesn't really seem that the athletics department tends to be very student-oriented at the moment. So, yeah. With that, that's kind of all we really had at Rules. So. Oh, and we saw a nominee for tonight, Michaela, which we'll see that bill later, and we sent her favorably. Thank you, Mahoney.
With that, are there any questions for Acting Speaker Kamstra? Seeing no questions, we'll move on to the Finance Committee with F.D. Hirsch.
Hi, everyone. Oh, thank you. Sorry about that. Finance Committee met yesterday. Really good discussion about PNC. We're making very exciting changes that I look forward to presenting to Senate. We are going to see women's ultimate Frisbee team debt contract. They've been really proactive. They want this contract really bad. They've gone through great efforts for fundraising. You'll see them a little bit later tonight. Super straightforward stuff. And even though there's not a resolution tonight, we do have a birthday for student government. Vice Speaker Kamstra, does everyone want to join me in saying happy birthday to him? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Camden Kamstra. Happy birthday to you. That's all I have.
And with that, the floor is open for any questions, starting with Acting Vice Speaker Mahoney.
First off, debt contract passed favorably, yes? Yeah. And second of all, when are we going to get our name tags?
Sorry, tomorrow. Picking them up tomorrow. Thank you. I forgot that.
Are there any further questions for Finance? Seeing none, we'll move on to the PR Committee. Is there a designated representative tonight to speak about PR? Seeing none, I'll ask the same thing about IDEA. Is there a designated representative to talk about IDEA this evening?
I see, okay. Hi everyone, perfect timing. I just came back from Jen's office to pick up some flyers about the upcoming movie. Sorry, I'm a little out of breath because I was rushing to get back. But as you may know, the international movie screening that Sub is hosting will be this coming Monday, November 6th from 7 p.m. in Carver 101. I think I'll just readdress like the importance of having a good turnout at this event. Sub will most likely be gauging whether or not they would like to continue having international screenings within their official Cyclone Cinema lineup based off of how this event goes. I understand that because it's usually they base it off cost and seeing how high of a demand there is. And I believe it's really important to have diverse cinema experience for not only international students to have a sense of comfort and familiarity of seeing something maybe in their native language, but also for domestic students to be able to be exposed to different cultures and have more of an appreciation for things outside of Hollywood and our mainstream media in the US. And so I would really encourage you all to bring some friends and go on Monday. I believe Jennifer mentioned this on my behalf last week, but there are 2 outreach credits that are still open if you are willing to volunteer. I believe it starts around 6:15 and then you can stay for the movie. It's not, so 6:15 to 7 is technically the time frame of like when you would be volunteering, and then you can just stay for the rest of the movie. So it's fairly easy of a role, and I believe Eric approved that as an outreach credit. And so I have flyers here if you would like a physical reminder of when the event is, if you would like to take a few to hand out to people. But yeah, that's all from IDEA.
Are there any questions for IDEA? It's been moved and seconded to add Senator Larson to the roll. Are there any objections to doing so? Seeing no objection, you'll be sat. Senator James.
I guess my first question is, what movie is it?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. It will be Argentina 1985. The film will be completely in Spanish, but there will be English subtitles, and there will also be concessions prior to the movie.
Got it. And then I guess my next question is, like, you were talking about from a cost perspective, how much is an international movie, like, to get the, like, stream rights, is it compared to a domestic movie?
That is also a good question. I honestly don't know the cost difference between a domestic and international film. Sub did explain to me like the logistics that go into choosing a film in general. One of them being it has to have non-theatrical rights. It has to come from a large distributor, so it's easier to obtain, and then just the cost in general. I gave them a list of movies that I thought were fairly new and popular among international films, and Argentina 1985 was the only one that met all 3 criteria. Budgeting-wise, I believe student government gives $47,000 specifically to Cyclone Cinema, and so when I meet with Sub again after the film to evaluate how the event went, that is definitely something that can be brought up.
Yeah, and then I guess my final question is, I understand the criteria is extra, but when it comes to like what country of origin, how do you figure that out? Is it based on just general popularity, or is it based on like looking at like percentage of like where international students are coming from?
That is also a great question, and I think if we do continue to have international films, that those are things that we would definitely or should consider when choosing a film, on top of like just seeing if it meets the criteria. With this upcoming film, it was they just asked me for general recommendations, and so I researched some of the like from the 2022 list of films that had international awards or nominated for Oscars, and out of the I believe like 6 or 7 movies that I listed off, this was the one that was chosen. I did it's the World Languages and Cultures Department. The professors there, especially within the World Film Studies Department, are very on board with continuing this, and they have already expressed that this is something that they would like to be a part of or like collaborate on. And so I think it would be better for them and actual professors to make a better recommendation for future movies, since they would have a better idea of what is a good film and whatnot.
Building on that final question, you're already in connection with some of these international film professors. Have you also talked to them about helping them promote it in their classes, and then like further promotion, like what's the strategy there?
Yes, so I reached out to, since this is a Spanish film, I reached out to all of the Spanish professors as well as World Film Studies and just ISSO and the World Languages and Cultures Department in general as well, to see if they are able to promote it in their class, as well as potentially provide it as an extra credit opportunity if they attend the event. And I've gotten a lot of positive response from that. So I'm very hopeful that this event will have a good turnout.
Got it. Thank you so much. I yield.
Senator Azan.
So I have a quick question regarding budgeting. So the budget is actually for the sub official year, right? So we are not budgeting like a specific movie, right? So that's the budget that we allocate to sub Cyclone Cinema.
Yeah,
right?
so
Okay.
I don't remember the number off the top of my head of the entire amount we give to sub, but from that budget specifically, $47,000 go to Cyclone Cinema specifically. And so yeah, we don't have any say in what movies, currently with the contract that we have with them, they have complete jurisdiction as to what movies they choose to spend that money with.
Right. So it's nothing like specific to that movie that we are broadcasting with sub, right?
Yes,
In terms of
currently no,
budget.
yes.
Okay.
Great, and so I do apologize, we have hit the 5-minute limit for that committee update, and so we'll move on at this time to student initiatives. Is there a representative tonight from SI?
Hi guys. So we're currently planning the pumpkin smash, and we're just really finalizing the details of, because it's coming up. And then I have a meeting tomorrow to answer any questions for a lot of people that may have questions about like the pumpkin smash. So yeah.
With that, are there any questions for SI? Senator Larson?
I'm actually glad that you said something about the pumpkin smashing. Have you already bought the pumpkins?
No, not yet. I have a whole list of prices I'm gonna go through tonight. We just got that whole list from my committee.
Okay, so I come from a farm, and my mom just had a dump truck load of free pumpkins dumped for our chickens. And she's coming this weekend for the game, and I was mentioning to her that if you guys hadn't purchased them, that she would probably be able to bring like a truckload, so we might not have to buy any, but we can talk later after the meeting if you can stay around. So
Okay, yeah, that's perfect.
Are there any other questions for SI? Seeing none, we'll move on to the Local Affairs Committee. Is there a designated representative for Local Affairs tonight? Senator Chenoweth.
Yeah, we didn't. It was pretty quick meeting. We did some fine tuning on the Safe Word project on, pretty much how many copies we should, how many postings we should give each of the establishments. Then after that, we were trying to figure out how to make a QR code for the calendar. That took longer than I was willing to admit, but we did get that done. So we're going to be working on that a little bit more here later, but that's all I've got.
Any questions for Local Affairs? Seeing no questions, we'll move on to the Sustainability Committee with our Director of Sustainability.
Hello, everyone. Not too many updates, but several members of the committee and I have been invited to join the Bike Advisory Group, and we have a meeting for that on Tuesday where we will be discussing the replacement of the 2 bike maintenance stations on campus. So I'm very excited about that. And then at our meeting today, we had Mary Rankin, who is the Director of Sustainability, come talk to us about the possibility of hosting the One Sustainable Iowa Conference. So we are very excited about that as well.
Floor is open for any questions for sustainability. Seeing none, we'll move on to Health and Wellness with our Director of Health and Wellness.
Hello, everyone. Not too many updates from me either. We had a great meeting today. My committee members are starting to get started on their individual projects, working with partners like student counseling, rec services, things like that. I'm continuing to work on Health and Wellness Symposium planning, which is going to be in early February. And yeah, thank you.
The floor is open for any questions for Health and Wellness. Seeing none, we'll move into legislative ambassadors. Is there a designated representative for that committee tonight? Seeing none, we'll move into the other category. This is an opportunity for anyone serving on an external committee to share any updates that don't fall into the internal category, starting with Senator Janes.
Cyride, I got an email reached out to about how a marketing, I think, consulting firm is reaching out to Cyride to ask for funding to do research on advertisements for Cyride. And they're looking for, I think, $65,000. We haven't gotten too much communications because our meeting, it hasn't happened for the month, but I just wanted to get like a general feeler from the student body. I don't know exactly where the funds are going to be from. It probably will be from a pre-established thing, but from my perspective, at least from a student body, I feel like it's well advertised, Cyride, so I just wanted to see your perspective on that.
So the floor is open for any questions or comments or any other unrelated committee updates. Seeing none, we'll move into comments from the judicial branch.
Howdy, y'all. A few updates. Number one, Max Zimmerman was chosen as our new Chief Justice Pro Tem. And you should be looking for an email from Charles about an upcoming mock trial. He hasn't sent it out yet, but I've been told he will be sending it out. I think he said later tonight. That's really all from us.
Are there any questions for the court? Seeing none, we'll move into comments from our advisor.
Good evening, everyone. I wanted to say that this is my last Senate meeting, as I have put in my resignation as of Friday. So I just wanted to wish everybody luck for the rest of the year. Have a good year.
The floor is open for any questions or comments. President Holliday?
All right, so I'm just going to keep these short and sweet this week. Not a whole lot over this past week, but for this upcoming week, we do have quite a bit going on. First of all, we have Mia, who has been working super hard with Cyclone Cinema to get this put on for International Movie Night. So Monday, this upcoming week, is that movie. So please, if you have the time, please, please, please make the effort to attend. She's put in a lot of hard work for it. And we have Quinn and I have a meeting with the admin of the school. Very big meeting. We also have GPSS in attendance for that. As we've been talking about, lots of things going on with DEI behind the scenes. And the Board of Regents is releasing their decision on November 7th. So we have a meeting to discuss that and how we can move forward from there. So hopefully I will be able to provide an update next week on what the Board of Regents decision will be, which then will be voted on at the Board of Regents meeting. Okay. Oh, I was under the impression that it's like I'm under the impression that they're releasing what their recommendation is going to be for what they're going to vote on at the meeting. But then also Thursday next week is the Student Government Expo. We've been prepping for it for a long time. Lots of hard work, lots of hours put in for it. Please, please, please sign up to attend. It would count for outreach credits. It's going to be a blast. We're going to have cookies and brownies and hot chocolate and talk to a lot of students walking by. So it's going to be a good time Thursday next week. Please make it a priority to attend. We're going to attempt to be warm. We're going to have a tent, hopefully. So, yeah, I'm going to update again on that next week, but if there's any questions, just let me know.
Are there any questions right now for the executive branch? Seeing no questions, we'll start with the business of this evening, beginning with general orders, specifically item 2023-2-058SG, confirming a nominee as to the College of Human Sciences Center with Vice Speaker Campstra.
All right, yeah, Michaela, if you want to go up to the podium as I introduce you. So this has been kind of a long time coming. I've been really working to get this other seat filled. I had 2 candidates reach out about this open seat for the College of Human Sciences, and the council reviewed both and nominated Michaela. I've had several conversations with her over the last week, kind of orienting her to the organization, and I think that she is going to be extremely motivated and do a lot of great things. So with that, I will yield the floor to you if you want to introduce yourself and talk about why you want to join.
Okay, he already introduced me, but my name is Michaela. I'm a kinesiology major, pre-physical therapy intention. I'm from Columbus, Nebraska, if any of you guys know where that is at. Very small town. But my main reason for wanting to join student government is because I believe that everyone should have a voice, even those who aren't confident enough to come forward like this, in a big room like this, and come forward with their problems. So I think that everyone should have an outreach for that. I came from a very small high school where I was kind of taught from a young age not to come forward with the problems that I was having, just because you should respect the people who are older than you, or you're wrong versus you're right type of thing. So I think it's very important for people to have a voice and be able to come forward like this.
So with that, the floor is open for debate, starting with Senator Trotter.
Just before we begin, I'd like to restate and affirm my own agreement with Senator Wellman's statements from last week about the kind of comments we make. And if I would be so bold, I would even invite him to maybe perhaps restate those for those of us who were not in attendance at that time. I yield my time to him.
Yeah, I guess just be kind. Don't ask stupid questions. Listen to what they're going to say first, and then don't repeat questions, I guess. And also don't repeat what they've already said. I mean, we all have other stuff to do besides this. And I guess I'll also say some of this stuff is not the hill to die on, and this is not the end all be all, and there's more to life than student government. And with that, I yield.
As do I.
And with that, we'll move on to Senator James.
Got it. So I guess my question is, what's your strategies to help lift the voices of the unheard?
Well, I am part of the pre-PT club, and I'm actually the CHS Council outreach person for the pre-PT club. So for those of you who don't know what CHS Council is, we meet kind of bi-weekly, kind of depending on our co-president schedules. But all of the clubs underneath CHS Council, and even at-large members too, we all meet and kind of just like give updates about what our clubs have been up to. So there's a lot of clubs in the CHS Council, so we all get to sit together and get to know each other. So if I could come forward after hopefully being sworn in, I could allow them to come to me and be a voice for them if they're having any problems within their own personal clubs, or even stuff going on with their presidents, co-presidents, or any type of issue going on within any of the clubs under CHS.
Absolutely. And then I guess you've kind of gotten a brief look at some of the committees. Do you have an interest in a specific committee?
My specific interest would probably be health and wellness. That is one that's very interesting to me because I think that physical health and wellness is also important, but even more so the mental aspect of physical health and wellness, and sometimes I think that that is overlooked. So that would be my main point of being in health and wellness, is to really stress the mental portion of health and wellness.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess my last question is, what would you want your legacy to be when you leave this position?
That's a great question. Probably to leave my legacy to be the mental health advocate. Probably. I don't really see a lot of things on campus that are more mental health related. I see a lot of physical health, like the state gym has a lot of recreational services and classes that people can take to get active. I know there's a few projects going on within health and wellness, like the STEPS one, or like different things like Exercises Medicine also has one every year, but I kind of think that the mental health aspect of that is overlooked, so hopefully I can introduce more mental health stimulating activities for those people who are struggling with that.
Got it. Well, thank you so much. I hope you
Moved and seconded to end debate. Is there any objection to doing so? Seeing no objection, hold on just a moment. Closing comments, Acting Speaker Campstra. Seeing no closing comments, UC has been called for. Is there any objection to passing this nominee by way of unanimous consent? Seeing no objection, the motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you for having me.
And if you could hang up there a moment, we'll get you sworn in.
Okay, perfect.
Alrighty. They didn't train me on this, so we'll see how this goes.
Okay.
Alright, hold up your right hand. Face me. Repeat after me. I solemnly swear or affirm
I solemnly swear or affirm
to execute the duties
to execute the duties
of my position
as prescribed in the Constitution
and laws of the government for the benefit of all students.
Have a seat.
Mr. Vice President, I motion to add Senator Prather to the roll.
Move to add Senator Prather to the roll. Are there any objections to doing so? Seeing none, they shall be sat. And so with that, we'll move into item 2023-2-009F, debt contract with the Women's Ultimate Frisbee team with Senator Wellman.
Okay, so this was a debt contract last year. I believe we gave them money for line items and they overspent. She can go more into what happened there if you have questions about it. This is simply just a debt contract where you see the numbers and when they're going to pay it. Finance Committee felt as if though they can pay it, and we have trust in that. It did pass out of committee favorably, and with that, you are more than welcome to take it away.
My name is Josie. I'm the current treasurer of the Women's Ultimate Frisbee Club here. As Senator Wellman said, we are currently in debt, unfortunately, but we've been able to resolve half of the debt that we've already, came into this year with through fundraising and donations and hosting our own tournament here. So we have some income from that, which is fantastic. So now we're only asking for $2,500 around there. So we're just asking that you pass this debt contract so we can continue to operate and not financially burden our members more.
So with that, the floor is open for any discussion. Senator Azan.
Could you talk about the number 638, how this number is coming up
Sure.
for each semester?
Yeah, so the 638 number is what I was given from Martin. That's a fourth of our total debt, so we're paying this over 4 semesters, so each semester we'll pay the 638 number back to student government.
Floor is open. It's been moved and seconded to end debate at this time. Is there any objection to ending debate? Seeing no objection, closing comments, Senator Wellman.
Yeah, obviously, we need to pass this so that way they can continue to operate as a club. So with that, please vote yes. Thank you, and with that, I yield.
Thank you very much. And seeing as this is a finance bill, unfortunately, we will go into a roll call vote at this time. And so when I call your name, please say yes, no, or abstain. Martinez. Yes. Gopa. Your presence has been noted. Senator Azan. Rolls. Chenoweth. Campstra.
Yes.
Kloppenstein. Kuehler. Atikos. Janes. Mahoney.
Yes.
Trotter. Moisango.
Yes.
Jones. Cecil. Eisma. Wellman. Momini. Larson. Pursley. Oh, excuse me. Schneider. And Prather. And so with the vote of 22 to 0 to 0, the motion carries.
Thank you.
You're dead. Pay us back.
And so with that, we'll now see item 2023-2-052 seating at-larges to the Student Initiatives Committee with Senator Kuehler. To who, I'm sorry?
Never mind. Okay, I thought she was here. If you guys just want to approach the podium, are you guys the nominees? Okay, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, and I'll yield to you guys.
Okay. So one of my committee members could not be here, so I'm just gonna say something that she wrote and why she's interested and a little about her. So she says, I'm interested in student initiatives because I would like to have the opportunity to
put on events to improve overall student life and experience here on campus, and just add a little fun. Beyond this, I would love to help build students' connection through these events. I believe I'm qualified for this position because in the past, I have led clubs and helped put on events, service events, club meetings, and celebratory events, and more. And then I have another member as well.
Hi, my name's Kennedy, and I joined Student Initiatives because I would want to get the students involved more on campus and not just sitting in their dorms or apartments all day. And I'm qualified because I helped plan multiple different activities on my student council in high school and for my FFA. And yeah.
So with that, the floor is open for any discussion. Been moved and seconded to end debate. Is there any objection to doing so? Seeing no objection, closing comment, Senator Keeler. Seeing no closing comments, or UC can be your closing comment if you wish. UC has been called for. Is there any objection to passing these nominees by way of unanimous consent? Seeing no objection, the motion carries. Congratulations. And so with that, we'll move into tonight's new business. Just for our new senator tonight, new business items are things that we will vote on next week. But in the meantime, we can ask questions of intent, that is yes or no questions. And so we'll hear item, if I can get it open, item 2023-2-010F, funding the Women's Soccer Club National Tournament with Acting Speaker Kamstra.
All right, yeah, so this is something that I saw actually on an Instagram story, and they were requesting funding, and they had set up a GoFundMe. So this is kind of a cool opportunity for them to learn about us. They already received funding from us, but they did not have enough because they were not planning on making this tournament, and they beat the #1 ranked Minnesota earlier this week to qualify for the national tournament. So super cool. I'm excited for them to come in next week and kind of talk about their club. But this is how much we were able to fund them. And yeah, they're going to see, finance is going to see them next week. So we can provide more information after that.
Are there any questions of intent? Seeing no questions of intent, unfortunately, we'll vote on this next week, but we'll move on from this item. With that, we've completed all of our business for this evening, and so the floor is open for any general closing announcements. And at first, I see no general closing announcements, and so I'll share my brief update. I do just really want to emphasize, go see that movie in Carver on the 6th. That's really important because we want to be able to do this again. It's kind of a proof of concept, as we already talked about. It's going to be a lot of fun. A whole bunch of us are going to go, so please attend that. Put that on your calendar if you are able to. That's in Carver 101. I'd like to, again, wish the acting speaker happy birthday. Congratulations on that. Expo is going to be a lot of fun this week. Again, please prioritize it if you can be there. Per Senator Cecil, do not skip class. But if you are free and are able to attend, please do so. It's going to be a lot of fun. We had a lot of success with the mass email, I just wanted to point out, and so we have a lot of people applying for different roles in student government. We're going to be trying to figure out how to delegate some of those emails so one of us isn't sending like 50, 100 emails. So if you're interested in reaching out to some people, trying to connect with them and get them interested, please let us know. Otherwise, we're going to figure out how to delegate that. Beyond that, Senator Everhart is not here, but as she mentioned last week, there was some interest in doing more commemoration sort of activities to honor Jack Trice next year, kind of to make it an annual recognition event, or perhaps a couple days or a week or something like that. And so if anyone's really passionate about recognizing Jack Trice, if you have any interesting ideas, we're trying to put a little bit of a group together on that. So please reach out to me or Senator Everhart. And with that, I think that's all I have, and so I'll move over to Acting Vice Speaker Mahoney.
Oh, wow, he actually wants to say something. Yeah, imagine that. I like to talk. 3 big things I'll just kind of quickly throw out. If people should go to lectures. We've been funding a lot of really cool lectures this year. I think we've voted on over $150,000 worth of lectures this year out of our $200,000 budget we're working with. There's a lot of cool names coming in relatively soon. Some of those are public and scheduled. Some of those are still being worked on. So keep an eye on the lectures website. I know there's a lot of cool ones coming up. I'm going to go to the Right to Repair one coming up here soon with a lawyer who's been really successful in getting a lot of that legislation passed in different states. So I'm really excited to go to that one. 2 quick requests. If any of you have had weirdness with incompletes on your transcript, please talk to me. We've had some interesting conversations about incompletes in the graduate level and it looking weird on when you're applying towards like fellowships and jobs and stuff. So if anyone's had weird interactions with having to take incompletes in a class, please talk to me. And then I'm also, because I brought up the dangerous intersections kind of bill we passed recently at GPSS, I'm now collecting a bunch of statements about people that have had interactions with some of these intersections. So if anyone has stories about seeing someone get hit, almost hit, car or pedestrian, feel free to send me an email with that because I'm going to figure out what to do with all those stories.
You're good. First of all, thank you, Martin and Vice President Margaret, for the birthday wishes, and everybody else for singing for me. I really appreciate that. But getting into more serious stuff, we are getting towards the end of the second term, so I would love to see, now that we have seats filled, you guys actually working on stuff. If you see an issue on campus, if you hear of somebody complaining about something, we have almost kind of an ethical obligation to help facilitate that change because we were elected or nominated to these positions. So November is a really good time to get started on a project because when you're sitting at home over break and bored, you can be sending emails or setting up meetings with people that are stuck on campus, including faculty and staff. So now's a really good time to start a project. With that, 2 other projects that I'm working on, Spoons, there are 14 people left. So we have decided to extend it another week. So I will send out round updates, and if we need to do a reassignment, if the person, or if you have not tagged somebody, by the end of Thursday, you will be eliminated automatically from the Spoons competition since there are a lot of people that have not been tagging people. So make sure to get that going, and I'll send out an email to everybody that's still involved with that. My other project is I'm kind of titling it unofficially right now, the Seasonal Affective Disorder Prevention Campaign. With that, we see that a lot in the Midwest. It's also acronymed SAD because it's really cold and dark here in February. So I would love to make this as big as possible. So if you want to add an event to this campaign that's outside of exercise, like doing a late night on a Wednesday night instead of a Friday night or something like that to get people out of their apartments, I'm open to hearing that. Again, this can be as small or as big as it wants to be. We're doing it in February, so we have time to plan it. If you would like to be a part of this project, our first meeting where we're delegating tasks and coming up with ideas will be next week between either Sunday or Tuesday. We haven't decided on a day yet. So if you want to join that, come talk to me. I would love to have a ton of people on that, but I'll probably cap it at like 5 senators. But I know there's a bunch of people from Exercises Medicine and other at-larges that are joining as well. So lastly, I don't know if anybody noticed that Senator Eisma shaved. This is in accordance with Movember, the movement during the month of November to promote men's mental health and also testicular cancer. So I will be doing No Shave November. It takes various different forms. There's also Move November if you would like to do a movement campaign and walk a certain amount of miles. You can also do that. But if you'd like to join in on that, that's what me and Senator Eisma will be doing. So yeah. With that, go to the expo, go to the movie. Good work tonight. Move to adjourn. Go Cyclones.
We're adjourned.